So I am Sian Belfield. I'm Customer Relations Director for Next Generation Travel, which includes the brands WST and FHT. My role is an executive board member and a shareholder, so I have a share interest and I am a board member with an executive duty, i.e. a day-to-day working role. My main responsibilities are for staff and for customers. So at any point that our staff interact with a customer, that's my responsibility area. So customer service is actually at the heart of what we do. So without service in the middle of it, you actually don't have all of the bits around the outside. If we don't have service that sits in the middle, we don't really have a sales team, we don't really have an operations team or supplies and things like that. When we recruit at WST, we are a values-based recruitment company. So in other words, we don't necessarily go out and attract people with all of the skills that we need. What we do is we attract the people that have the values that we need, because we've got tons of skills that we can teach people. We've got loads of knowledge. We can send them to cities all over the world. They can go and visit those. Ultimately, what you can't give an employee is a value. You can't really give them a true value of being an honest person. They will come with that. You can't give them professionalism. You can demonstrate it. Whether they want to take it on or not is up to them. So intrinsically, we look, and when we're screening at interview stage, we look at people's values and we test their values by asking them questions about personal experiences, what's been important to them in other roles, what's challenged them in other roles, what they've done when they've faced a challenge. And those reactions let us gauge whether that person would do the right thing. And the right thing is a key phrase for us. So if we are responsible for 40, 50, 60 kids out in Paris and a terrorist bomb goes off, ultimately, as a tour operator, we have to do the right thing, and that is to act how any parent would do. If that's your child in that resort, what would you do? You do the quickest, most efficient and most safe solution first, irrelevant of cost. So that's what we look for, is people who innately have that right thing inside of them. Our biggest challenge was actually underestimating the length of time it would take us to get that first big bulk of customers on board. So we had an element of about 50, 60 groups from the company, the brands that we bought. It then took us a good 18 months to get to the kind of volumes by which a retention policy then starts to work, because you have a good number to retain from. When I talk about retention policies, we call it R&R, so it's retention and referral. So the best part of retention is we talk about retention as an individual and as an establishment. So you can retain that French language teacher that's taking a French tour every year, and you can just keep doing that. But actually that French language teacher is not going to do much more than that French language trip, because that's all she or he is responsible for. So what you need to do is look at the establishment level, retain the establishment and look for referral within. So not only do you get the French language teacher, you ask them to refer us to history or humanities or science or PE or whatever. So then your breadth of opportunity just gets bigger and bigger. So that's what you have to be mindful of, is looking at each of the opportunities within the establishment and not just the individual. We'll always take care of the individual on a one-to-one basis, but look for opportunity, seek it and ask for it. So we're in the process now of just developing a bespoke system called Progress, which we've named ourselves, and we've got a guy building it, so it's a tour operations system. However, previous to that, what we had was pretty tight processes in terms of the expected levels of service that were going to happen and what should happen when you're tour operating. So in other words, at this point you get the deposits, at this point you do this, at this point you do that, etc. So we had pretty tight processes, and we had a very, very keen eye for detail and recording detail. So all conversations were always recorded, emails always kept in one place. So each account had its own folder, and within that folder would have lots of communication details in there. The key to making sure that that's as slick as it can be for the customer was that everybody who has contact with that customer has the same information in front of them as the person next to them. So whoever the customer happens to call into, they will always get that same level of service because the information about them as a customer is all in one place. And that's how we've based our system, our operational system, on how we want to work with the customer and not allow a system to make us work with the customer in a certain way. So we've built it from bottom up, looking from the user's point of view. To retain a customer costs you a hell of a lot less than it does to attract a new customer. So I think that in terms of marketing budgets, I will say this because although I have been involved in marketing quite a lot in my career, my specialism is in people. So I think that what you can't have is a marketing budget that is disjointed from the engagement budget and the policy you have for staff training and recruitment. So as long as you have an alignment that means that those two work with each other and one isn't massively more than the other, then how you choose to spend it is dependent upon what kind of market you're in. For us, we actually spend a lot on SEO and stuff like that, but we can cut our budgets actually year on year the more people that we retain. So what we do is we transfer. We have an element of marketing budget, and each year actually you can downgrade that percentage of your overall budget to marketing because you're retaining more and more people. Sure. So either you choose, should we go out and acquire more and spend more to acquire more and have a big growth spurt? Should we produce and use more, make more products? Or should we just simply put that cost back into profit? There's all sorts you can do with it. Wise companies will treat the retention customers as a marketplace on its own. Wise companies will, because it is a marketplace on its own and it needs to be treated that way in terms of making sure that they are absolutely happy with. And marketing budget shouldn't be about offering compensation, which a lot of companies do. Part of their marketing budget for retention will be about, oh, we've got it wrong, so here's 300 quid, here's 500 quid, here's £1,000. You should get it right.